King Colin Walker, you know how we do, baby. I'm back with another fantasy video. Yo, the league is getting real hot, and playoffs is about to start next week. Playoffs is about to start next week, and the league is getting real hot, and there's been mad moves going on. Mad moves, and it's like, we are not here to take part, we're here to take over. That's what Conor McGregor says. And it's like, listen, yeah, it's either you're watching other people make moves or you're making moves. Like, so it's either you're watching other people make moves and you're an ESPN commentator on other people's moves, or you're making your own moves. Like, there's so much going on in real life basketball and in our fantasy that there is gems to be picked up. For example, yeah, Malik and Matthew, this pick up literally like if Michael Porter Jr. does play next week, they say that he's meant to be back next week. If he plays next week, in my opinion, they go from I don't know if they can beat Larry to beating Larry. That's how mad of a pickup this is. And this is the thing, right? These guys have picked up a player that was injured for the whole of fantasy, right? But if they're like not doing anything, if they're not like listening to NBA news, injury news on NBA players, right? They won't know these things, you get me? So it's like they'll just be looking at other people's trades instead of trying to make their own moves. And I feel like that's the difference between like really successful business people and non-successful. Non-successful business people is like, yo, you're so worried about the market and what the trends are saying that you're letting that dictate your moves, right? Instead of you trying to dictate the market and sway the market the way you want it to work for you. And they've swayed the market the way they wanted to make for him. Like they dropped a bomb. This is a bomb. They dropped a bomb, right? Damian Lillard, I haven't heard any news on him, right? But he'll be reevaluated. So this one is like with this one, it's like I don't believe Damian Lillard should be picked up. That's just my honest opinion, right? But with this move right here, it's like he's not coming back because they're gonna tank. They want a draft spot. They traded CJ McCollum. Ever since they traded CJ McCollum, he hasn't been playing, right? He's been injured for a hot minute, so he's done for the season. In my opinion, I believe he's done, right? Chris added Paul George, right? And the thing with Paul George is like um Chris had to drop Paul George and Miles Turner, right? This is what I'm trying to say is either you make the market sway in your favor or you allow the market to dictate what you are going to do. And for a long time Chris was letting the market dictate what he was gonna do. But now he's making the market sway in his favor, right? And I believe that now that he dropped him, he has the right to add him back. Because I see it as Clippers are going to make playoffs, right? So it's like, does Paul George want to play in the playoffs or not? But then again, in the NBA season, there's like 20 games or less than 20 games left, right? Are they going to rush him back? You know what I mean? Because I don't know why you would go into playoffs not wanting to compete. But then again, we also need to this is what everyone needs to factor in. They are going to be playing games for the playoffs, right? There's going to be playing games for the playoffs. So some teams like I think Lakers, Clippers, let's say Hornets, let's say Atlanta, right? They're gonna play some extra games for the play-ins, right? So we also need to factor that in, right? So then I'm in a trade with Chris, Markel Fultz for Ben Simmons. I shouldn't have done it now that I think about it, right? But with me, I just kind of lost my head with Ben Simmons, and he's taking too long. It's just taking too long. Like it's very very unclear. But one thing we do know, he's going to be back before the end of regular season, right? And I feel like the way they're going about it is very very stupid. Like it's very very stupid. Like a guy like Ben Simmons, who has a reputation of not being mentally tough, you kind of just have to throw him in the deep end, right? You throw him in the deep end and you tell him that yo we got you, and then you also show him. Other than that, the baby and stuff isn't going to work. That is my honest opinion, right? And this for me right here, I believe that this trade is disgusting because Hayward is injured. Brogdon hasn't been playing consistently. Al Horford is alright when he takes his steroids, right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to the standings, then I'm gonna look back at that trade. Because there was two trades that were made, and I'm gonna look at them. I'm gonna give my detailed analysis, right? So this is what it's looking like right now, right? Also, another thing we need to let me go to the actual playoff bracket. So me and David have the same win loss percentage. That's 0.70. That's crazy. That's weird. That's very, very weird. Anyways, that's very, very weird. Okay. But here, this is what needs to happen, right? So there's a constellation um bracket, right? For this is for so this right here decides third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, right? So just because you're out of the winners bracket doesn't mean that you're not in the winners constellation ladder. You know what I'm trying to say? So like just because you don't win here, don't mean you can't win here, right? But this is what I'm saying. Hear me out. This is what I'm saying, right? This is what I'm saying. Larry, if everyone has really got their thinking caps on and they're seeing what I'm seeing, this is what I'm saying. If Daniel and Glory are G's like that, even though they're brothers, right? If I was Daniel, I would tell Glory, right? Wait, can that even work? Let's see this. Let me think. They will have the exact same win. They will have the exact same record. But anyways, regardless, if I was Glory, I would tell Daniel to lose his matchup. I'll tell Daniel to lose. Daniel's playing Cornelius. I would tell Daniel to lose to Cornelius. Why? Because if I'm Daniel, I'm like, oh, I don't want to play against Colin. I would rather play against David, right? This is if we got thinking caps on, right? Then if I'm Glory, right, it's like, okay, do I want to play against David or Colin? You know what I mean? Glory's played against Chris this week. You get me? Larry, this is the thing about this week that is crazy. If Larry loses to Matthew this week, Matthew can potentially go to the fifth seed, dropping Chris to the sixth seed. Because they'll have the exact same record. So in Chris's eyes, Chris is like, no, I am not going to lose to Glory this week, right? So it throws the whole plan off. But if there's some way that these guys can convince Chris to lose to Glory, and Glory wins, and Daniel loses to Cornelius, Glory can go from the 8 to 7 and Daniel to the 7, right? But Larry will have to beat Matthew to keep the 3 and the 6 the same. And the 5 and the 4 the same. But the 7 and 8, they will switch. If I was in that position, that's how I would be scheming. That's just my honest opinion. That's how I would be scheming. But that's not gonna happen. Like, that's really not gonna happen, right? But if I was them, that's what I would do to make it happen. But it's not gonna happen, right? So currently looking at these playoff matchups, right? Let's look at the 5 and the 4 first, right? Because I feel like 5 and the 4 seed, even in real life, is always like it's kind of a toss up and it kind of ain't a toss up, right? So the 5 and the 4, right? So far, Chris' team is looking different. He has Bomb. I dropped Bomb. That's another gem. You see what I'm trying to say? Like, gems have been thrown on the ground and certain people are picking them up, certain people aren't, right? Bam is a stretch big that hits you 3-pointers, right? And he's gonna grab you minimum 20 boards in a week. 20 to 15 to 20 boards in a week and get you about 5 3-pointers in a week, right? And he's really, really good at blocks. Like, really, really, really good at blocks. Like, amazing at blocks, right? So Chris has picked him up. Chris has also traded Andrew Wiggins for D'Angelo Russell, which is a great trade for Chris. You know what I'm trying to say? And then Fred VanVleet, I believe he's back now. Like, he's in and out. He's day to day. He's back, right? So I'm just praying that everyone has a healthy team for the playoffs. That's what I want. Healthy team for the playoffs. CJ McCollum is back, but respectfully, Chris's team is like back. Fred VanVleet is day to day. We pray that next week everything is sorted out, but respectfully, he's back. And his team is strong. His team is strong. Like, before all of the injuries and stuff, he was basically it. Before all the injuries, it was me, Chris, and David at the top. Before all the injuries, it was me, Chris, and David at the top, thinking that um it was just gonna be a landslide. And then injuries happened, COVID happened, and then everything went like wayward. And then now Chris's team is healthy again. And this is what happened to Chris's team last year. Chris had the same thing, right? And I want you guys to remember, he had Sabonis and Drummond last year, and they done the same madness for him last year. So keep an eye out for that, right? So Chris's team is healthy. And we know, I'm not talking about I'm talking about actualities here. And we know when Chris's team is healthy, he has shown us that his team is top three. Top three in standings and top three in stats, meaning that his team competes and beats like the one and the two, if that makes sense, right? Here we have Charlie's team, right? Zion Williamson is actually predicted to come back. Like, he's cleared. I'm not trying to say? Like, he's cleared. So it's just a matter of time. Like, is he gonna come back this season or no? But he's cleared. So Charlie could see Zion come back in the playoffs, right? Charlie's team is stacked. Don't get me wrong. This team is crazy. It's crazy. Like, but to me, it's crazy on paper. Cause it's like when I'm seeing names like Clay, Kevin, Giannis, DeAndre, Zach, Kyle Kuzman, I rate, like, hats off to Charlie. Like, I think this is one of the drafts of the season, because no one predicted that Kyle Kuzman will actually be this good this year. Like, and he's actually been amazing. I can't even lie. I can't even chat. Like, if I knew Kyle was gonna do that, I would have got it myself. But he's actually been a stud, right? Shea is Shea. You know what I mean? He's Julio. Then he also got Seth and Zion, right? My thing with fantasy is, like, I view fantasy different than a lot of other people. I view fantasy as building a system. Like, you're building an engine. Like, let's say we have a V8 engine, right? You need a V8 diffuser. You need a V8 exhaust. You guys get, I don't know much about cars, but you guys get what I'm trying to say, right? Everything needs to be synchronized. But if you have a V8 engine, a V5 exhaust, V2 brakes, it's not going to work, right? And my personal opinion with Charlie's team is, I just don't think it actually blends. I don't think that he has got the full potential out of this team. Because if we're going to talk about the numbers, like the hardcore facts, unlike Chris's team, who has actually been top three, Charlie's team hasn't, right? And if we're talking week to week basis, right? Like, who you beating week to week, ranking your team's numbers, I don't think, like, it's top three, right? Just off my head, I don't actually think it's like a top three thing, right? So that's why for me it's like, if we're gonna talk about numbers, like just strictly numbers, talk about, okay, what's the potential of your team? What does your team actually do? And what can your team do? Chris's team trumps him on that, because we know what Chris's team can do. You know what I'm trying to say? And it's like the injury thing, I think we should all throw it out the window, because everyone's had injuries. Everyone's big players have gone out, right? So the injury, I've had this person injured, this, I think we should all just throw it out, right? And it's like, KD is playing out of his mind right now, right? But the thing is like, it's like this, right? Like 53 points, 25, you know what I mean? So KD is playing out of his mind, right? But here's my take. Here's my take. I have a guy like Giannis, right? Giannis don't really shoot much threes, right? But he gets me bare rebounds, and he's good defensively. He's good defensively, right? And he's like he's averages 5 assists. You know what I'm trying to say? And he gets me the points. I'm surrounding Giannis with guys like Yante Murray, LaMelo, um, what's his name, Rudy Gobert, um, even guys like Mo Bamba when they're playing good. Why? Because Giannis is already good at blocks and steals, right? And he gets you the 5 and 5. So anything Giannis does, those guys are compounding on it. You get me? They're compounding on it. But with this team, there's the compound is in different areas. Like Kyle Kuzma isn't a defensive guy, right? He's not a defensive guy. He's very, very offensive. You know what I mean? So it's like if Giannis plays, you know that Kyle's not gonna really add to the steals or the blocks. Like he's not. He will add to the points and to the rebounds and stuff, right? But that's what differentiates certain people's teams, right? Like for example, where's David's team? David's team is even though me and David have had our wars this season, I really rate him, and I feel like after this fantasy, I want to sit down and talk with him because I feel like I would love to hear some of his philosophies when it comes to fantasy, right? Because I feel like he has the right philosophies. Because like this is the second season in a row he's had like top team, top 1-2 team, right? But here, this is David's team, right? David traded away like half of his team for Joel Embiid, right? But let me show you guys the trick about what he's done with Joel Embiid. So this is the trick. So Joel Embiid fills up everything every single night. Double doubles, points, rebounds, 3 pointers, assists, steals, right? Believe that Joel Embiid is better than Giannis this year in fantasy. That's just my opinion, right? So look at a guy like Tyrese, right? Tyrese fills everything up too. I love Tyrese, right? He fills everything up, right? Kyle Lowry, when he plays, this is the problem right here. The steals and the blocks, right? So he's filling it up on this end, but he's not adding to this end, right? And then it's like, where's the other people? Um, Jaren Jackson, right? This guy, I love him, but they will never give him up, right? So what Jaren Jackson does is he fills it up on the points, rebounds, and steals and blocks, but not on this end. You know what I mean? So it's like David's team is really good at steals and blocks. Like really, 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 really good at steals and blocks. Like really good. Like when he's actually not doing propaganda and you guys and his team was at that level that they were at, his team was getting like 45 steals and like 30 plus blocks, right? And that's all because what he's done is like if he's best what he's done is he's taken what his best player is really good at and he's built around that, if that makes sense, right? Cameron Payne is a beautiful pickup. This is what I'm trying to say. Like this guy picked up a guy that's getting him double doubles. Like he literally picked up a guy that's getting him double doubles because CP3 got injured. This is a guy Larry should have picked up, but instead Larry left CP3 on his IR instead of picking up Cameron Payne. I picked up Cameron Payne, but I dropped him because I was impatient, which is my bad. You know what I'm trying to say? But this is a great pickup, and that's what I'm trying to say. Like certain people are allowing the market to dictate their moves, while other people are making the market sway for them. If that makes sense, and that's a big thing. Anthony Davis is basically gonna be back. Will return to light. That means Anthony Davis is gonna be back in a week or two, maximum 3 weeks. So basically, this week, right? Then next week is 2 weeks. Next week is his first round of playoffs. I believe he beats Glory. Then by the third week, it's second round of playoffs. Anthony Davis should be back. He should be back for playoffs, right? But that's what I'm trying to say. And part of the reason why I feel like David's team fell off a bit is because in the Embiid trade he gave up so much of the players that was compounding for him. And for me, I saw it as okay, his team's more vulnerable now. Because before when you played Davis' team, it was just like it's like one like he's Carl Anthony Towns would play, and then Tyrese would play, and then Shea would play, and then Jimmy would play, and then Fox would play, and it's like barrage upon barrage upon barrage, right? And it was deadly, like absolutely deadly, right? And then it's like so for me, like Charlie's team has finished the season strong, right? The question is, can you beat Chris's team when it's healthy? In the past, you could not beat Chris's team when it was healthy. But then in the past, your team wasn't healthy. So that's the big question. I ride with the West side, so I'm taking Chris. Now I'm trying to say, these are two East matchups, but I have to take David because he's the number one seed, right? Then for this matchup right here, I did have Larry tipped, but now I have Team the Silver tipped for this because this is what I'm trying to say, bro. Like, we can't be sitting around watching. Could return as soon as next week, and that's a pickup. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, they picked this guy up, and this guy is like, he's a look at, like, this is before, like, this is when he was dealing with the injury, right? But still, he's grabbing you 5 rebounds. He's getting you nice steal numbers, and he's getting you at least 2 3-pointers a game. At least. You know what I'm trying to say? And Michael Porter Jr. is a 3-point shooting wing, right? He's not really like a defensive guy, but he's a 3-point shooting wing, right? So it's like, that pickup right there could literally be the one thing that helps them win the whole series. You know what I mean? Just that pickup right there. And it's like, I feel like Malik should be tipped for like GM of the season, because it's like, the reason why I was confused about why they were losing is because, like, if I have this team, it's like they have the right compounding pieces. Like, you have James Harden, right? You have James Harden, right? He does everything except from the blocks, right? And then you have Karl Anthony Towns, who does everything, right? Literally everything, right? And then it's like you have Vukovic, right? Who's not really good at the blocks, you know what I mean? So it's like, why are they losing? Or why is their record like this? You know what I mean? And it's because of it moves like this, right? It's moves like this. Because it's like, when you're not making moves like this consistently, right? It doesn't matter if you have a good core piece. It then matters about who you surround with it. So now that they're making moves like this, they're picking up guys like Franz Wagner. You know what I mean? Guys like Marcus Smart is healthy. You know what I mean? Keldon is having a lovely time playing ball, right? Now their team is starting to find some sort of identity momentum, right? But earlier, their supporting cast wasn't compounding on what was being done, right? And I still feel like their skills in their block category is really weak, but it's too late to change that unless they trade away their core, but they're not going to do that. You know what I'm trying to say? So for me, it's like, the way I see this matchup is this, yeah? This matchup could literally be determined by whose team is shooting the basketball better. That's it. And then when I say shooting the basketball better, I mean like field goal percentage, free throw percentage, right? Whose team is shooting the ball better? Who's gonna win those two categories? I feel like those two categories could determine the winner of this of that matchup. Larry's team for me is weird. I don't really understand it. I don't understand how it works. All I know is that when you got what I've this is yeah no you know what, yeah, I'm gonna compare Larry's. This is what I'm saying about Larry's team. He hasn't lost since week 8. Since week 8, he hasn't lost. And this is what I've been trying to tell everyone, right? You only need one star player, and the rest of everyone else has to add to what your star player is doing. Jokic does every single thing, literally every single thing, in the like, he does it at the toppest level, like the top level, everything at the best level, right? Everything at the top level. So you need to surround him with guys like Christian Wood, who's gonna get double doubles and high thing. John Moran, who's gonna score like crazy. Like, if Larry has one person on his team that's not adding to what Nikola Jokic is doing, he's not gonna win 12 straight games. But because everyone is compounding on what Jokic is doing, that's why his team is so strong. And that's what I've been trying to say. Like, it's not about having all of the star names on your team. It's about, are they adding to what your team needs? Or are they adding to the categorical strengths? You know what I'm trying to say? And Chris Paul is a huge loss, right? But he still hasn't lost without Chris Paul. You get what I'm trying to say? And it's like on paper, it's like he has Will Barton, he has what Harrison Barnes, Bojan, Mann, Williams, Barrett. You know what I mean? But he hasn't lost in 12 weeks, so he's clearly doing something right. Or it's either he's doing something right, or he just has luck for 12 weeks. But I don't believe that. You know what I mean? I believe he's doing something right. You know what I'm trying to say? That's what I believe in, right? So it's like, and I feel like because of those things, it's like that's why certain people are going to win certain matchup in playoffs easily, and certain people are not going to win certain matchups in playoffs easily. For example, for David, glory is easy, but for Daniel, for David, glory is easy, but for David, Daniel is not easy, right? You get what I'm trying to say? For Chris, like this matchup here, Chris likes this matchup because he's the way he's built his team favors this type of matchup. But for Chris, playing against David, it's a chess match. You know what I'm trying to say? It's a hard matchup. Even playing against Daniel is a hard matchup. Chris likes Larry. They have some rivalry going on, but he likes Larry, you know what I mean? For me, I don't want Daniel. I don't want Daniel. Like, I'm being 10 toes. I really don't. That's why, like, if I could somehow tell Chris to lose, Matthew wins, then I beat David and I'm one, Chris goes down here, then it's game. You know what I'm trying to say? But I don't like Daniel. I don't wish Daniel on anyone. And I'm gonna show you guys why. Because it's like I'm gonna show you guys why I don't wish Daniel on anyone. Let me show you guys why. I'm gonna show you guys Daniel's team. Then I'm gonna show you guys the current schedule. I'm gonna show you guys Daniel's team, right? So where's that? Let me just click on anyone, right? Because I don't want Daniel, and no one should want Daniel. No one should, especially after the trade he made. I think the trade he made, if that trade was made earlier in the season, is done. So right now, what's going on is like we're literally juggling for playoff position, right? This is right now. What's going on is a chess match. You guys are like, why are these guys like? It's literally a chess match. You know what I mean? And that's what it is. You know what I mean? When the top dogs are on, the top dogs are on. And if David leaves these two guys on, I'm happy. I'm buzzing. Even though I do want Chris to like, if I could beat David somehow, Chris goes down to the other side, I go up, I'll be buzzing. But if David wants to do that, I'll be happy. I'll be content. Right? This matchup right here. Where's Daniel's team? Is this Daniel's team? So Daniel now has Kyrie Irving, Jimmy Butler, Westbrook, and Terry Rozier, with the added fact he has Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday, right? So I'm gonna show you guys something. So these are the trades that went on. This went on yesterday, right? At first, it's like I don't deal with I don't deal with potential big names probability. I just deal with numbers, my guys. Like when you want to talk about fantasy, I deal with numbers. Like I just want to show you guys how crazy Daniel's team has gotten with these two trades because it's like almost like I don't really get it, right? So Daniel got Westbrook and Terry Rozier, right? And these two together are disgusting, right? But it's like no one's talking about it because it's like Westbrook hasn't had a good season. You know what I mean? But Westbrook is playing good in terms of fantasy. In terms of fantasy, Westbrook is really, really good because he's getting you not getting you any threes, but he's getting you lots of rebounds and good, respectable assist numbers. Terry's just crazy with the steals, nice with okay with the blocks. You know what I mean? And then there's a trade I made, yeah, and it's like I want to do the total, right? So it's like 20 plus 8 plus 20 is 48. You know what I mean? So I gave up 3 players for Trae Young. You know what I'm trying to say? And it's like, when you look at it like, oh, he gave up those 3 players for Trae Young. He won the trade clearly. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, oh my days, he won the trade clearly. You know what I mean? Like, this is not fair. How could you make such a trade? You know what I'm trying to say? But when you put the numbers together, right? That's 23, 23 is 28. When you put the numbers together, 6 plus 7 is 13, plus 2, 15, right? So when you put the numbers together, I didn't actually win the trade. I'm not trying to say, like, I didn't actually win the trade. So, like, 127 plus 96 plus 153. So I didn't actually win the trade. Like, if we wanna be like real, I didn't win the trade. And if we actually want to be 10 toes, right? Daniel's trade is actually more like, it's nastier than the trade I've made, because I've given up 3 players, right? I think Daniel gave up 3 players too, but in the 3 players he gave up a Hayward that's not playing, a Brogdon that's barely been playing, and an Al Horford. Now I'm trying to say, for Westbrook and Terry Rozier. Now I'm trying to say, for Westbrook and Terry Rozier. Like, you guys are not deep in it. I gave up OG, who's gonna be back. Ayo, who's been starting for the last 2 months, like, he's been starting for Chicago. Cole Anthony, who's been starting the whole time for Magic. So these are not bench players. Are they all-stars? No. Is Westbrook an all-star when he's playing at his best? Yes. Is Terry Rozier all-star? No. But guess what? He's starting on like 95% of NBA teams. He's starting, right? And then OG's been out, right? But he starts too. So it's like, if we're talking about hardcore numbers, points, Trae Young in the last 10 games, 311. These 3 together, 376. 3-pointers, 31. These 3 together, 48. Rebounds, 37, 125. Assists, 99, 114. 7 steals to 28. 2 to 15. So I gave up all of that for one person. I lost the trade. Because it's like, we're not here to talk about the names of the players. You're here to talk about the numbers they give you, right? And Daniel's team is scary because with this trade, if he wasn't playing against me in the playoffs, I think he beats everyone else, because these 2 players do what his whole team does. Like, this is mad. I feel like Daniel's team got, like, really, really good off of that trade, right? But because Westbrook isn't having a good season, people think that in fantasy he's not delivering. But he is delivering in fantasy, right? Terry Rozier plays for Hornets, a small market team, but he's playing amazing in fantasy, right? And it's like, these 3 guys are starters, right? But because it's Trae Young, a big name, it's like, oh, that's not fair. But it is fair. Like, it really, really is fair. If anything, oh, dang, wrong tab. If anything, I lost the trade. You know what I'm trying to say? If anything, I really lost the trade. Because it's like, when you really, really, like, look at the numbers, when you really, 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 really look at the numbers, like the hardcore numbers, you realize that, hang on a minute, Colin gave up a lot, and I did give up a lot. I did, for one person. I did give up a lot. And then it's like, you can make the argument that, oh, but Cornelius isn't making playoffs. There's consolation playoffs. Whether you guys want to take it seriously or not, there's consolation playoffs. Like, literally, consolation playoffs, right? So this matchup right here, I don't know why I'm going with it. But I don't know who's gonna win this matchup, because Larry left his team on the bench for the first day. I don't know why. So if he comes back and wins this matchup, I don't know what to say. I don't, right? Daniel's losing. I think he might turn it around. I'm not sure. He might turn it around with the trade he just made, right? There's a high possibility he turns it around, right? Charlie's clearly gonna win this. I feel like he should have gave Rico his first win, but he didn't want. He doesn't have to, if that makes sense. But yeah, he's won this clearly, right? And then yeah, but what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna compare the numbers. So I'm gonna compare Chris and Charlie like right now, based off of their numbers. See who's winning the matchup. So 0.4690 to 0.5. So Charlie's winning the percentages, right? 21 to 11. So it's 2-1. 58 to 63. 3-1. 34 to 53. 3-2. 9 to 3. 3-3. 4 to 6. 4-3 Chris. 1, 2, 5. 194 to 187. So right now they're both tied 5-5-1. They're both tied on the. If they're playing each other, they're both tied as of Tuesday. Out of 2 days, they'll both be tied. You know what I mean? They'll both be tied. But it's an interesting matchup, right? At the end of the day, like that matchup, it doesn't concern me because they're on the other side of the playoff bracket. So I don't actually care. You know what I mean? So I don't actually care about their matchup. I care about Larry, Matthew, and Daniel, right? But going into playoffs, right? It's like these are the things, right? So for 3-pointers, these are your top three going into playoffs, right here. For rebounds, you know what I mean? These are your top three, you know what I mean? These are your bottom three, you know what I mean? For assist, these are your top three. You know what I'm trying to say? For steals, these are your top three. For blocks, these are your top three. And it's not even close. Like here we have 646, 618, 616, and the next person is 400. Then for double doubles, these are your top three. You know what I mean? And then for TDs, these are your top three. And then for points, these are your top three. But this is what I want to show you guys, right? I don't care about these percentages, right? These two right here, right? But this is what I want to show you guys, right? So top three, Chris is in the top three. His team, if his team was bad, he wouldn't be in the top three, right? So this is the hard code number, the facts. These are the facts. So Chris is top three. We're talking about numbers here. He's top three. Me and David are the bottom three. You know what I mean? Our team struggle with the 3-pointers. Rebounds. I'm number 1. Larry's number 2. Daniel's number 3. Chris is number 4. You know what I mean? This is rebounds. Like, we're talking about hardcore cold facts. You know what I'm trying to say? This is your bottom 3, and this is the middle right here. For rebounding. You know what I mean? For assist, it goes Larry, me, Chris, and Charlie are tied. This is for assists. You know what I'm trying to say? These are assist numbers. For steals, the defensive stats. Chris is number 1. Me, then David. You know what I mean? These are your bottom 3, and this is your middle of the pack. You know what I'm trying to say? I'm talking about numbers here, my guys. For blocks, Chris is right there too. Me and David. For double doubles. For triple doubles. So you guys get what I'm trying to say? So it's like, that's what I'm talking about. I don't want to talk about no potential or no. I want to talk about what your team can do. You know what I'm trying to say? So Cornelius' team can shoot 3-pointers. Why? Because he's the best in the 3-pointers. My team can grab rebounds. Why? Because I'm number 1 in rebounds. Chris's team can steal the basketball. Why? Because he's number 1. You get me? Blocks. David's team can block the basketball. Why? Because he's number 1. Right? So it's like, my problem with Malik, Charlie's team, Glory's team, even the problem with Cornelius' team is that, okay, Cornelius made top 3. These guys were Malik, Matthew, Cornelius were top 3 in the 3-pointers, right? But in the rebounds, it's like, this is, you know what I'm trying to say? It's like, we're here. You get me, right? So we're top 3 for one category, then assists, right? We're here. You know what I mean? Like, we're still here. You get me? Like, we're still here. We're not up here. You get me? For steals, it's like, we are not here. We are still here. You get what I'm trying to say? So it's like, you're not top 3. You're not, right? So for blocks, it's like, there's a huge gap between 3 and then 4, 5, 6. You know what I'm trying to say? There's a huge gap. So it's like, my thing is like, when I'm looking at this, I'm not seeing you guys in the top 3. So it's like, because I'm not seeing you in the top 3, my team is better than you. I'm looking at, overall, my team is better than you at X, Y, Z, X, Y, Z, X, Y, Z, X, Y, Z. That's what I'm looking at going into playoffs. You know what I mean? My team is better than you like X, Y, Z. Like, this is what everyone should be looking at going into playoffs. Looking at the calendar, looking at what my team is better at this person at, what my team isn't better at this person at. You know what I mean? Calculating which categories you can beat someone in and which categories you can't. You get me? Right? But that's what I'm trying to say. Like, with these numbers, it's like they literally give you a picture of why certain teams are ahead, why certain teams aren't ahead. You know what I mean? This is why I like playing against Larry's. I'm not scared of Larry's team because I eat him on steals. I eat him on blocks. Double doubles, he's right with me. Triple doubles, he's right with me, right? Points, I suck at him at. You know what I mean? Even rebounds, he's number 2, so it's tight. 3-pointers, we're right next to each other, you know what I mean? Then a free throw, even this, we're right next to each other. Me and Larry's team are like, look, even this right here, we are right next to each other. So it's like, when I'm looking at Larry's team against mine, I know what, it's really, really tight. I know what I win in. So I'm going to figure out how to win the really, really tight areas. You know what I'm trying to say? So it's like, for Davis' team, he's playing against Glory first, right? For 3-pointers, he knows he's not better than Glory, right? But for rebounds, right? David eats Glory, right? For assists, David eats Glory. For steals, David eats Glory. For blocks, David eats Glory. For double doubles, he still eats in Glory. You know what I mean? For triple doubles, so it's like, David looks at this, he's confident he beats Glory's team. Even if he catches an injury or two, he knows he can still beat the team. Because of the hardcore numbers and the facts, not because of potential and probability, you know? So I'm going to go into the team ranking, right? So this is the final team ranking. The final team ranking, right? So top 3, we have this right here. And last week, Cornelius would have beat me, would have beat anyone else if he didn't play me, right? So Charlie's team did amazing. Top 3 and top 3 in top 3 in 7 categories. Chris was in 6. Cornelius was in 4. You know what I mean? And it's like, if we're gonna compare this, Charlie last week beats everyone in free field goal, right? Free throw, he doesn't beat everyone. 3-pointers made, he beats everyone but Cornelius. Rebounds, he beats everyone but Cornelius. Assist, he beats everyone. You know what I'm trying to say? But last week, yeah, that's what I'm trying to say about this, yeah. These are not even real numbers, right? So it's like, you're like, oh, dang, my team was top 3. But guess what? These are not real numbers. So it's like, you think your team is top 3, but your team actually wasn't top 3. Because certain people were not actually participating fully. So certain numbers on this thing are not true. You know what I'm trying to say? Certain numbers are literally not true. So it's not like I'm chatting shit. Like, it's literally, that's the fact. Like, literally, David didn't put his players on. Some people weren't putting their players on deliberately. So this right here, with all due respect, it's not true. Like, for some people, like Charlie's team, the numbers are true, right? But for David's team, the numbers are not true. You know what I'm trying to say? Because not everyone was putting their players on. You get me? So it's like, as much as I want to like look at this stuff, this is why I didn't want to look at this for too long, because it's like, this is not the real stuff, right? But this is the real thing. Why? Because I think with this, they're calculating what your team is doing if you leave them on and off. You know what I mean? So for last week, if Chris done it the way I think he done it, I don't think he went back and looked at the players that were not put on lineups. You know what I mean? I don't think he done that. But this is the power rankings, right? Larry hasn't lost in 11 weeks. Gaffer of the week was Charlie. He beat Chris in a tight matchup, right? I want to go back and analyze that matchup. Jokic is a don. We already know that, right? So this is the power rankings going into the fan playoffs, right? Charlie coming to top 4. Chris is 5th. The Silvers 6th. Daniel went down. He's 7th. I am number 1 because I have the most wins. David's number 2. Larry's number 3. Right. I want to go back and look at the schedule. I want to analyze, because I think Chris and Charlie's matchup is the most important matchup in the whole playoff series, because I know why I don't want to be number 1 seed in the ESPN. I'm not sure if for David's reasons, but I think David only wants to meet me in the finals, and I think he only wants to meet Chris in the finals, right? So yeah, so this was Chris and Charlie's matchup last week. The rebounds were incredibly close, 7. The assists were only 6. The steals was 1. Like, this matchup was really, really close. Wow, Charlie got 12 double-doubles. Like, really close, right? I think the pinnacle of the matchup was that McCollum wasn't available for the end of it. Booker wasn't available for the beginning of it, right? And that plays a major role. So it's like Charlie won 7-2-1. But that's what I'm saying. I pray that there's no injuries, because I want the person that wins this matchup to be like, yo, I won with my whole team, whole and some. You know what I'm trying to say? That's what I want. Like, the person that wins that matchup to be like, yeah, I won with the whole team, whole and some, right? So this is Chris's power rankings, right? And for me, like, I'm going to do my own, and I'm going to do it based off of, like, what I believe, right? So if I'm going number 1, I'm going to say I'm number 1, right? Then for number 2, I want to put David, right? For number 3, I have to put Trade Me, right? But I'm going to put Trade Me / Red, right? My number 4 is Red, right? My number 5 is Van, right? My number 6, I have to put the Silver. That's what I'm saying. And my number 7 is Fantasy, right? The reason why I done this is because I believe that when you're looking at the numbers, Chris's team is like, I have too much respect for it, right? And I truly believe Chris's team is like rightfully third. The only reason why Larry's there right now is because of the injuries and everything, right? But Chris and Larry, you can easily put either one of them 3rd or 4th. I think Charlie is 5 because I don't think that his team is actually better than Chris's team. And I don't think his team actually better than Larry's team as well, right? Daniel's number 7 because his team, I don't know what happened, it fell off. And then the Silvers team is number 6 because I just believe, like, I just want them to start winning. Like, if you want to win, let's win. You know what I mean? Like, I want consistent wins from them. That's all I want. But going into the playoffs, all I'm going to say is this, yeah. For the rules of the playoffs, the trade deadline is Sunday, right? If you lose your matchup, you can't drop anyone. And that's about it. You can't drop anyone. Just keep your team as it is. Not trying to say, but yeah, good luck to everyone, and I hope everyone makes the right moves before playoff. And I'll see you guys in the finals, my guys. But it's King Colin Walker. You know how we do, baby.